Good afternoon and welcome back to Laurel Park. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday edition of Today at the Races. I'm Gabby Gaudette, joined by Dave Rodman, and happy Father's Day.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And hopefully you're a dad here at Laurel Park today. He's going to really get down to that Father's Day buffet in the first floor of the clubhouse there in the Garden Terrace, $22 per person. They're setting it up right now.
They're setting it up. It does. It looks very good. And it's a beautiful day to head out to the track with Dad. We've got 10 races on tap and plenty of betting opportunities. We have a very nice carryover in the Rainbow Six, a huge carryover in the Super High Five. We'll get to all of those featured wagers in a moment, but wanted to backtrack to yesterday. You guys, will show the Shimmering Aspen video spotlight replay first of all. This was in our featured race of the day, and the Alma North. This was an impressive performance by this little filly coming back off of the Black-Eyed Susan.
Sharp from the start. The turn back was the key. After that race in the Black-Eyed Susan, where it looked like she had to be 1, 2, 3 at the top of the stretch, then faded in the stretch. It rained Black-Eyed Susan Day. Things didn't go her way. She was on the deeper in the boggy kind of inside at Pimlico. And all of a sudden the skies open up before the Alma North. More rain again for Shimmering Aspen. But this time it didn't bother her. The rain wasn't as severe. The track rated good. She duels, draws away in a very impressive performance. 6 was in 109 and change. And 7 ace, I believe, at 123 and change for Shimmering Aspen. Byring up with an 84 number in the Alma North. But, you know, the fact that she dueled early and then drew away, and then 6 in 109, you've got to give that filly a lot of extra credit.
It was a good pace in front. I mean, from the get-go, it looked like a whole bunch of fillies were trying to get to the lead, and then she and I believe it was Crab Cake towards her inside just kind of separated themselves from the rest of the field. And congratulations to jockey Steve Hamilton. That was actually his first stakes victory since coming back off of a 10-year retirement.
Exactly, and Rodney Jenkins, the trainer, the whole crew did a great job of prepping her and getting ready for her to sprint back. And Ellen Charles, the Hillwood stable, she's put a lot of money into this game, had a lot of good horses. This looks like one of her special ones on her list of her years of ownership.
She's always told me she loves gray horses and she loves fillies, and that she's got a lot of them. And this one is another one, Shimmering Aspen, but she seems like she's got a lot of talent. Curious to see where we see her in her summer campaign. I also thought key highlight from yesterday was Limited View for John Salzman Jr.
Yep.
That 2-year-old was really fast. She went almost a full second faster than the boys division. So she looks like, and Edgar Prado never even moved on her.
Yeah, freshman sire Freedom Child. That is the first official winner for Freedom Child. A Freedom Child ran across the wire at Delaware Park a few days back, got DQ'd. So looks like he's off to a hot start there. Congratulations to Country Life Farm. It looks to be a promising hot sire. So good news for Maryland Racing in that respect. You're right. I mean, just for a hesitant moment at the top of the stretch, it looked like maybe she wasn't going to he would switch leads a little bit or kind of look around a little bit. So, and I remember you mentioned yesterday that she was kind of playing around a little bit in the post parade going to the gate. So paid attention to her going to the gate. Once she saw that starting gate, it was game face on. All that behavior stopped. She started bowing her neck, and I tell you what, she's got a future. Hopefully she can stretch out and do big things.
Apparently in the morning, too, she's a bit quirky. You can only lead her in and out of one specific entrance. She's just one that's kind of high maintenance, as you would say, in the morning. But like you said, when she was going into the gate, completely different demeanor. She shifted.
How the horse like that can change their composure from the time you saw her in the post parade to the time she went to the gate is amazing to me.
Talent is talent.
Right. That shows a bit of class, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Now we'll shift gears here to what's happening both today and next weekend. Head up to the Garden Terrace for a $22 Sunday brunch, and the first 100 dads who purchase the buffet will get a gift bag. So come out and join us here at Laurel Park for Father's Day with 10 races on tap. It's a glorious day. Now we're less than a week away from Big Turf stakes action. We've got 6 turf stakes coming up next Saturday worth just under $500,000 in total. And as you can see, we've got the Edward Evans Stakes, the Jamila, the M. Tyson Gilpin Stakes, the Mr. Diz, Nellie Mae Cox, and the White Oak Farm. I've heard rumblings that we'll see Ben's Cat back in the Mr. Diz next weekend, so that'll be definitely something to look forward to. And the following day, the action continues, but up at Pimlico, that is where the Totally Thoroughbred Horse Show takes place. That's presented by Beyond the Wire. Always a good turnout for a very good cause for the Totally Thoroughbred Horse Show.
Yeah, I believe they've raised about $60,000 for the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance since the inception of the Totally Thoroughbred Horse Show. Good cause. Support it. The sponsors support it. Maryland Racing supports it. And if you get a chance, get on out to Pimlico for that show on Sunday, June 25th.
And looking towards the near future, obviously somewhere that's very far from where we currently are is the Royal Ascot Festival. That does kick off this week, and we've got some local flavor going over there with Graham Motion sending Miss Temple City back, hoping that third time is a charm. Edgar Prado, he's actually never ridden at Royal Ascot, but I did get the chance to catch up with him a couple days ago just to see how Miss Temple City's doing and what he's looking forward to about the trip across the pond.
Well, she's been training real well. The last couple of works was excellent. Graham was very happy with the performance, and she's ready to go. I think she's going to ship it today or tomorrow to Royal Ascot. It's going to be an honor to participate in that kind of race and be part of the festivals.
Have you ever ridden over there?
I rode in England, but I'm not in Royal Ascot.
After this question. How do you prepare for something like that? Do you watch a lot of replays? What's the prep work like?
Definitely, yeah. I've been watching a few races, and as soon as I get there, I will work the course and see what's the best part of the track.
And that was Edgar Prado on Miss Temple City. He's flying in, I believe, tonight or tomorrow. Miss Temple City shipped in last Tuesday. She's been training at Lambourne, where she trained last year as well, going into the Duke of Cambridge. Now, at 3, she raced in the Coronation. Last year, she raced in the Duke of Cambridge. And this year, she's going to the Queen Anne. The race at Tepin was the first American horse to win.
And where it all began here, though, Maryland for Miss Temple City, won the Hilltop Stakes, broke a maiden here. So good things, just another rubber stamp of the upward swing of Maryland racing. I'll be watching with, I think I might wear my top hat and tux at home. Just
top hat and tails.
Tails.
Top
whatever.
hat and tails. I'd like to see that.
At home?
Yeah.
Tweet a picture out. I have to get a rental before then.
I'll put my little hat on that I wore last year. It was what an incredible event, and we have a lot of North American, United States, pretty much representatives going over there in Miss Temple City. We've got American Patriot. There's always Wesley Ward horses running over there in some of the 2-year-old stakes. So United States is well represented this year at the Royal Ascot Festival. Let's get to today's card, though, Dave, and we'll show you some of our featured wagers and our carryovers. No carryover in the late pick 5, but it is a fun sequence. Instead, we have 2 big carryovers in the Rolling Super High 5, just shy of $9,800 there. That does kick off in today's opener. Again, that wager happens with races of 7 or more betting interest. And in the Rainbow 6, we've got a carryover just over $9,000. That does start in the 5th race. I came up with a ticket for that and ticket with the early pick 4 as well. Track and weather conditions, we are fast and firm. We had a brief shower yesterday when the track was sealed just before the Alma North, but since then haven't really had any precipitation. It's a glorious day, a little hot, a little humid.
Yeah, the weatherman's calling for 20% chance. 20% chance of perhaps a bit of rain this afternoon. It's a hit or miss kind of thing. But same situation happened yesterday. The turf course needs a little bit of rain. Didn't affect the main track at all, so we're fast and firm today.
Let's get to today's opener, dive right into the action. We head out to the bowl game at 1 1/16 for this maiden $25,000 event. A reminder, we've got a carryover of $9,700 in that Super High 5. I would imagine it would get well played today. I had a tough time with this race, so therefore I decided to go with a horse that's coming in off of a long layoff, and that's the 8 noontime stroll for Tim Woolley. off of the time away. They, take advantage of that waiver claiming rule. She's protected today. He's protected today. And honestly, I just wonder if this horse could show any more speed. He was so wide last time we saw him, and the layoff is a concern. I just wasn't crazy about anybody else.
Yeah, that's two things to worry about: no speed and time away. On the positive, there's been a winner out of that race who came up with a really good number for this kind of group, a 63. So that race back in November when he was 2 has produced a winner. Kind of a muddled picture here in the opener, but with that $9,700 super high 5 carryover, I think you got to take a shot. When we see that pool close to 10,000 in the carryover, they may bet 30,000 into the thing this afternoon in the opener with that field of 8, and it's a turf race too. You know how people love to bet grass.
Exactly. Beyond that horse, I did have a little bit of a tough time because then you're looking at horses like Copper Wired, Dave, who I thought would have broke his maiden last year at the very latest. He just doesn't have a will to win.
He seems to tease a little bit. 0 for 20 maiden. It seems to get to the 8th pole and get his mind on other things and other than winning. So he's a little bit hard to take at a short price.
And there doesn't seem to be a tremendous amount of speed that could help Copper Wired a little bit. He can be tactically positioned. I would imagine Barcraft might go to the lead as he did last time out. He wasn't able to sustain it. Even Smokin' Hot Factor, the 3 I didn't use, but going back and watching his last replay at Monmouth, he was squeezed out of the gate. It wasn't a bad performance, first time blinkers on behind a wire-to-wire winner. So I thought that if you wanted to play the early pick 5 this race, you probably wanted to have some coverage, and there's no one that you can feel confident about.
Taking advantage here, that Maryland bred Smokin' Hot Factor, Carol K bred out of Love Me Twice, good family there. They paid 6 figures for him. He hasn't panned out, but he's making his first start here, and that race has a winner out of it there, that maiden 20 at Monmouth as well. And you're right about Barcraft. He just might be some speed today to sit off a Copper Wired or near Copper Wired. Had a tough time there from post 10 in the field of 10 on the good turf here at over across town at Pimlico. Showed some brief speed and faded. Got that firm ground this afternoon. His speed may carry a little bit farther there with hustling Eddie Gonzalez aboard. I like the way he rides. He's a kind of a newcomer to the scene, to the Mid-Atlantic scene from Tampa.
He did have success down at Tampa and looked like he rode very, very well at Pimlico, and it looks like that's going to be continuing on to the Laurel Summer Meet. We'll get to the second race at 5,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime claiming event. 6 furlongs on the main track. This does kick off that early pick 4 sequence, and I came up with a nice affordable ticket of $18, so we'll show you that. And here in the first leg, going to be using 3 horses, the 2, 3, and the 4. Following that, 4 horses in the third race with the 1, 2, 8, and 9. In the fourth, 2, 6, 7. And then I'm just going to take a shot in the 5th race. I'm going to be actually singling Peace Prize in there for Mary Epler. I just thought he ran excellent last time out. Mary Epler has had so much success with Flying Pheasant Farm. She's acquired a couple horses for that ownership, and so far successful. So that's going to be a nice affordable ticket to kick things off in the early pick 4. And this is a fun little race. I mean, I think that the 3 Still Burnin', he could win, but he could also be a little bit vulnerable. I thought he was vulnerable.
Well, he's back to that nickel here for the condition this afternoon. Non-winners at 2. Claim for the nickel non-winners at 2. But on that jump last time out at Pimlico, Gabby, he faced a Larry Jones plunger named Wayne Scott, who's very,
it was
very
1 to 2.
fast. Exactly. Yeah, he was a huge favorite. So this is a sensible spot here for Still Burnin'. He's not as fast, Still Burnin', as Wayne Scott by any means. So he was double digits off the pace last time out. I don't expect him to be that far back today.
I don't think so either. I think people will just bet him off of his last race thinking that, oh, well, he is dropping in class from a heavy priced winner there and dropping from the 12.5 to the 5 today. But he's also been exposed against this level before. So I took a shot with the 4, the Iron Bank for Casey Cartagena. I just think that she does a great job with these lower level claimers on the dirt, especially sprinters. And it wasn't a bad race, all considering. He made up a lot of ground in the late stages of the race, and he was wide, very wide. A horse towards his inside coming around the quarter pole just kind of pushed him out to the center of the racetrack.
No, he's been on the lead before over this track, and running kind of a 23-148 pace, going in nickel nine. We're at 2 at 5.5. But it's the second time for a sharp barn here, so maybe a little more speed today from the Iron Bank as well. But again, I don't think Still Burning will be double digits from the front today. And I think he's still a little bit faster maybe than the Iron Bank early.
I think they might even try to go with 50s Music, who's not that slow. He gets in with the 7-pound apprentice, Carlos Delgado, so he could be forwardly placed. So I did think that the Iron Bank and horses like Still Burnin', they were probably a little bit more tactical, doesn't really need the lead and doesn't get too far off the pace. So that is race 2 to kick off that early pick 4. As we turn the page to the 3rd, we head out to the Exceller, 9 furlongs on the turf for this starter allowance optional claimer. And we'll go back to the Lost Story. This particular horse was coming in off of a little bit of a freshening since February. This was at Monmouth Park. If we could roll that replay coming down the stretch. You can see on the short comment, in tight, hit rail at the 8th pole, and unfortunately, this horse just didn't get much racing room. He was the one horse you can see, I believe, in the yellow silks down on the inside. He pretty much saved ground the entire way, but the rider was going somewhere that I don't think he really belonged or had room to go through, so obviously had to check out and take all the way back. After that, there was no hope.
Yeah, that was a kind of a nightmare trip down inside for Lost Story. That allowance race, when you really break it down from start to finish, there, a field of 10, I think it was a much better field than he's going to face today. So hoping for a clean trip there. The Mats trainee, now owned by Vintage Farm, correcting the ownership there. Papa Pablo's out of the race as well, so that leaves us with 9. Any other ideas there?
Well, we'll show you Rock Solid Golfer's last race, and this is also a race that Iggy Loco comes out of. Iggy Loco, I believe, is the number 1 horse, and you can see Rock Solid Golfer. I thought Rock Solid Golfer actually got a pretty good trip, whereas the one Iggy Loco you'll see momentarily just kind of checks back out of there, has no room to run for the final couple of yards, really coming down the stretch, just behind a wall of horses. So to me, I wanted to show this to highlight both of them, and out of that race, Dave, I actually much prefer the 9 Iggy Loco. I thought he had a horrendous trip coming down the stretch.
Yeah, that was something. And he had post 1 last time out, and I think maybe the plan was let's not go to the front because there's some other speed in here. We don't want to get shuffled back into the first turn. Well, that was a good idea until the traffic enveloped there the last 16th of a mile. He really had to tap on the brakes. I think he would have won the race, to be honest with you. And Kelly Rubley of Good Barns come back to work this horse. Shows no ill effects since that race on May 28th. Good work at 48 on the synthetic surface there at Fairhill. He's live today after the traffic nightmare.
Exactly. So I really like him in there. Used him in the early pick 4, but I went with an angle that I recently found that I absolutely love, and I made a lot of money on Belmont Day with this angle. Chili Magician, right? So last time out, they gave him some time since December. They brought him back. He was listed as a first-time gelding last time out, and he drew away from the field. Yes, maybe he liked the turf that day. Maybe it was just circumstantial, but I saw a different horse visually, and yes, he's going to have to run a much improved race, but with that confidence booster underneath of him, first-time gelding, why not? He's going to be a price.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. That was first-time gelding on yielding ground, and it was a big improvement, about 8 buyer points better than his previous turf race back last year at the age of 2. So, yeah, he's fresh, he's ready. Didn't come home super fast, I thought, but the number kind of stacks up against this group, and he's got some room to improve here on the firm ground.
There's not a lot of pace in there either. I thought that some of the horses who were the main contenders wouldn't be too close to the pace, and I think that he could potentially find himself in that position. But that's just an angle I've liked to play, so taking a shot there in the 3rd as we get to the 4th race, a maiden $25,000 event. 5.5 furlongs onto the main track. And this, too, I thought was a little bit of a tricky race just because we've got Socially Driven coming back from a layoff since Timonium. We've got Honor and Blessing, who I think the maiden special weight performance 2 starts back was a little bit dressed up because of the track conditions. I thought that you could potentially go against some of the favorites in here, but it's still a question mark.
For a 7-horse field, I think it's the toughest race of the day.
Yep.
I really do. For a maiden claiming going 5.5, because you've got first-time starters with angles in here. You've got debut runner Woodley 6, one of them, Temple Sky, talk about it in a moment. You're right. I think maybe Dressed Up by the Sloppy Track was notable game. The winner there, Dirty Laundry, clear-cut winner. Notable game was one of 2 or 3 vying for second late. Finished okay, galloped out okay. Was it the slop that enhanced? The race was originally scheduled for the turf. Now he's down inside. I'd almost prefer almost a better middle to outside draw for this filly today. There's so many other angles, like Socially Driven, coming off a time away, and there's not a lot to go on off that Timonium race except that the winner, Wild Cheers, came back to win next out.
Wild Cheers came back to win, and Called In Sick this was the second place finisher in there. That horse actually came back to win in December, getting a 64 Beyer speed figure. But if you look at some of the other horses that have run in there, they're kind of averaging that mid-40 range. Now, I don't know if that's going to be fast enough. Maybe it will be fast enough to beat this field. I don't think you really have to run a fast fig or a fast time to win here. So I thought the work pattern was interesting on Socially Driven, so I did land on him, but I'm not fully confident. The 6 hashtag selfie was one. I don't think she liked the kickback that she was getting. Watching the replay, it looked like she was kind of pushing her head out and green with some of the kickback, so I think she'll like the surface better.
Yeah, I watched that replay this morning. She kind of had a high-headed early action in the race. Was it the sloppy track that caused that? I don't know. They're not coming back here. Nope, no change of equipment I've got on her hashtag selfie, so she's kind of a question mark. Could be a little bit better than her first appearance. Socially Driven, your top pick. I mean, has at least a good 5-ace work under her at Laurel, and coming off that Timonium rockin' and bopping 23 opening quarter there, going that half mile at Timonium. You've got to be quick out of the gate, and she chased a quick pace. So I would expect she'll show speed, but is she fit enough after time away?
We'll see. That is a very, very difficult race, though, to tackle. We're going to step aside, and then we'll be back with the 20-cent Rainbow Six. We've got a nice carryover there and a look at the second half of today's card.
The best bets at Laurel Park are the pick fives, and we have 2 of them. The early pick 5 starts in race 1 and is a mandatory payout. The late pick 5 is the last 5 races of the day and has carryover potential. Both pick 5s at Laurel Park have an industry low 12% takeout. The pick 5s at Laurel Park, your best bet.
Welcome back to Today at the Races. Gabby Gaudette joined by Dave Rodman. Now looking at the 5th race on today's program. It does kick off the 20-cent Rainbow Six, and we have a carryover just over $9,000 in the sequence today. And I did take a stab at the sequence. I am starting things off with a single. It didn't work well for me yesterday because I singled Dirty Foot. We're going to go back. I guess I don't learn very quickly, Dave. I'm going to be singling Peace Prize in the first leg. I had a tough time with the 6th race. I thought really anybody could win that, so clicking the all button there, followed by 6 horses by 2, $56. I think you and I were talking this morning about a horse that we really like in today's finale, so I feel confidently in just going with 2 horses in the final leg. So here we go. We'll start it off on the bowl game at the mile for this open $7,500 event. And we'll go back to the last replay of Peace Prize, who I thought was ultra impressive. First time for Mary Epler.
Flying Pheasant Farm have hooked up with Mary Epler, and they're paying big dividends. They've gotten to the winner's circle several times. Look for the red colors with the green sash, Caramanis closing. Late to get up by a head on Peace Prize. Caramanis sitting on $19.99 again. Didn't get 2,000 yesterday. He's got several chances today, and this is one of his big chances if he doesn't get it before the 5th race on Peace Prize. A horse that Mary Epler's really gotten back into good form here.
Yeah, she has a tremendous amount of back class, and I think that Mary just did a good job giving her a little bit of time, preparing her off of that layoff. And that was a gritty win because it looked like the pace held together relatively well. The 7 was more forwardly placed. She actually hung on, I believe, for 3rd as Key War was rallying late on the outside. But I don't think she got, a beautiful setup, and she still overcame that to win.
And she was off since November 2016 as a 4-year-old, comes back with that race in the spring, wins going 2 turns. She's worked several times since then. So if anything, I think she'll move a little bit forward from that race there and that head victory over K-War.
I agree. We also have the 4 Cracking Good Pins, who's now stretching out to 2 turns from a 5.5 furlong sprint last time out. Not strong stats for Rick Silliman, stretching out from sprints to routes on the turf. That's kind of what made me put her in the second spot there and have more confidence in Singling Peace Prize. But I do think that she's going to improve with added distance. I see her more of a 2-turn horse than a sprinter.
I think she's just basically a turf horse, and she hasn't many had chances to run on the turf going long, except for that race back last fall at Laurel, and it was a good second behind Pride of Wilco, kind of a similar level. So I think she's back on her favorite surface, form darkened maybe by some subpar performances on the dirt.
All right, well, that is the race to kick off the 20-cent Rainbow Six. Hopefully we get my single home as we get to the 6th race, a maiden $25,000 race, 1-turn mile on the main track. And we have heavy favorite in the 1, Clubman 9-5, who's dropping from that maiden 40 to the maiden $25,000 level. No carryover today in the pick 6, but it's a interesting sequence. Clubman at least has experience going long. This is a race that's just full of sprinters stretching out to a mile for the first time.
Well, this horse has been a mile a couple of times. The thing is, he's been favored 4 out of his 6 starts and failed in those 4 tries to favor it. So there's some other horses in here that maybe can offer a little bit more price if they cross the wire first. You've got one of them on top. Voodooed here out of 2 6-furlong sprints, 1 in the mud, 1 in the fast.
And I went back and watched the start there. As you can see, stumbled out of the gate in the short comment. I think it was more so a hesitation than stumble. Actually, probably both. He hesitated, then got out of the gate and stumbled a little bit. So to me, looking at some of his replays, he doesn't look that fast on top of things. So I think the added distance will only help him. I don't think it's going to hurt him.
Yeah, he's certainly one you have to use. The runner-up there, King of Night, came back to win. Kind of a desperate finish at Delaware Park next time out, but came back with a good figure off of that maiden win. And this horse ran right into some solid middle fractions into the race, so 6 to a mile will be no problem for Voodooed.
And you look at Leather Goods, who's stretching out. You have Clubman, who's going to be the favorite. He has been the beaten favorite sometimes. The 6, Roll Again Question, is a horse that actually was okay at 2 turns on the turf, so you wonder if he'll be okay going a little bit longer on the dirt. 50 West had a poor break and no pace in front of him. That's why I took the aggressive approach and just clicking the all button in there, because I thought that race was a crapshoot, and I didn't really want to spend too much time on it, because I think that anybody could win that race, really, whoever likes that more distance.
Blinkers on Glory Hound, too. Let's not forget about our friend Damon Dilladovico here, off with 3 sprints now. Those races for maiden 16, a little bit better, I think, than your average normal maiden 16 type level there. The debut run and the race back in April, and the blinkers going on here. He's shown kind of weird signs, like even pace first, second time out showed some more speed and faltered, then maybe tried to close it a little bit in that 7-furlong race. Maybe not focused, and the blinkers could wake him up today.
We shall see as we get to the 7th race to start the final pick 4 of the day, heading out to the Exceller at 5.5 furlongs. Non-winners of 3 lifetime in for the $16,000 tag. And the 4 Mr. Benz was where my eyes landed here for trainer Phil Schoenthal. First off the claim for Phil, and he hasn't done this a lot. First off the claim, cutting back from routes to sprints, only 4 times. He's won twice. So I thought that, although a small sample size, a good stat for Phil Schoenthal. And Mr. Benz has proven in the past that he's been effective sprinting against Allowance Company.
Yeah, I remember his sprints kind of way back where he'd finished okay. To Beantown Saint, he was favored that day back in 2015. They finally found his niche by stretching him out, a 2-turn deep closer. But he's been effective at sprints before. I mean, look at his last race. It's almost like a classic you got to use him situation, where he loomed right there at the 8th pole, then was beaten by Primetime Man, who came back to win after that victory against non-winners of 3 again. So all the handicapping angles you can think of for Mr. Benz are on beam here.
I tried to
Beamer.
get Mr. Beam, the Beamer. I like him. I think he's like I said, he's been effective sprinting on the turf before. Zipping by City Zip out of Arahi Mare, I think has just been kind of finding some tough fields and maybe that has a little bit too much moisture in the turf. I use him as a long shot. I don't even think that Animal Quiet is impossible. I use this horse in fourth, trouble trip last time out, but if you go back to some of the maiden claiming races when he was running at 2 and he improves off of those figures, he could be right there. No Knock Raid, crowdfunding. I thought that this was a tough race.
And it looks like Tim Keefe's kind of turned around Sunrise, Sunset a little bit from his quirky deeds back in another barn, though he didn't beat a lot last time out of the nickel non-winners at 2. He's back on the grass for another try at it. You remember early in his career, he was kind of a little all over the track, ducking in, ducking out, but he was more focused last time out. But again, I guess you can be when you're running against Humboldt Street and 50s music, right?
Exactly.
We'll see if he turns around today.
All right, well, that race, again, was kind of a spread race for me using 6 horses in that leg of the pick 6 as we get to the 8th race, 1-turn mile for this starter allowance optional claimer. And I looked at the one Expect a Kitten for King Leatherberry. First off the claim, now going from turf to dirt. I like the improvement that I saw even on the turf last time out. This was a filly that in the past, she looked like she never really had that closing kick, that gear that, she got into the bottom of herself and really showing grit, but last time out she split horses. She was visually impressive, and maybe she can bring that back to the dirt.
This is a tricky race when you look at it first on paper. You don't look at the surface. You think it's a turf race because the first 3 horses have a little more turf for them, but it is a dirt race, so that makes it a very, very tricky situation there. The thing about Expect a Kitten, Gabby, is when you say, well, why are they running her on the dirt? She's run okay on the dirt before, but her dam by Tail of the Cat has been a dirt producer. She's produced a couple of offspring that have won on the dirt, so I wouldn't shy away from her going turf to dirt here.
And the other filly that's going to get bet in here is the 7, Bring Me Answer. She has the most, it's funny you said that because when I was looking at Bring Me Answers, I was thinking, now they're going to the turf with her. And then I had to scroll up. No, this is a dirt race. So it is a tricky race when you look at even horses like Majestic Trick, who's never been on the dirt before. Bring Me Answers, I think, will actually like getting back to a fast main track, but she's just been a little bit of a money burner lately.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to go in here. We'll see if she can fire through. I just wasn't super impressed by the race against Barino, but then I've got the McGee Barn factor in there as well. Value added. See if Calixto Juarez can turn her around. 4th race off the claim from the Trombetta Barn and doesn't drop her. Keeps her up here for the 20 level.
This is a tough race.
Yeah, and that other horse she like, Majestic Trick. Again, she's another one with a lot of, looks like a turf horse, but her dam's 6 for 25 on the dirt. So you've got some pedigree angles here, not necessarily speed figure angles to go with
it's
in the 8th.
It's a very weird spot for Majestic Trick, but this could backfire. I didn't use her in the pick 6. I just try to have faith with King Leatherberry. Like you said, saw those pedigree notes on Expect a Kitten. She's been capable on the dirt before. And I thought that Bring Me Answers, her fast main track dirt form, I think would be fast enough to win here. So I'm going to cross my fingers and hope we get through that leg of the sequence. Dave, as we get to the 9th race, this does kick off the first half of the late daily double. This is a 2 other than allowance optional claimer on the bowl game at 5.5 furlongs. And I guess we'll show you a spotlight replay of Giacomo's song last time out, and Not a Chance. These 2 horses, especially Giacomo's song, will probably take a little bit of money. We see Not a Chance just kind of rallying there. We see Giacomo's song kind of kicking it into gear. To me, I know this horse has won a couple of times last year and this year. I didn't really like the final 16th of the race here by him.
For Giacomo?
Yeah.
Well, ran against Open Company. He's Louisiana bred. He's been against Louisiana bred company. It's I guess arguable that he was in deeper water last time out, didn't finish off the job. He was a beaten favorite. Lanier did come out of that race to win.
This is a tough race, though.
The horse he faced down in Louisiana, Eden's Great Kitten, is a 7-time turf winner and almost $250,000. Is he just your ordinary Louisiana bred trying to step up into open company, won't get the job done? Well, when you look at the other horses in the race that can really quick on their feet like Uncle Huge, he's got his work cut out for him today.
I agree, and that's where I ultimately landed for Uncle Huge. Last time out in the turf sprint, I thought it was just a little tough for him. Obviously, he was 56-1 in that race. We saw Richard's Boy come back and take the Pennsylvania Governor's Cup via disqualification, but getting a 96 Beyer speed figure for that. So I think he was a little bit out of his class level, but I like how he's run here at Laurel, and he's a very fast horse.
Yeah, that's his main asset, and this is a typical kind of Hugh McMahon sprinter on the grass. When they get good, they get very good for his barn, and he's definitely, I think, the horse to beat, Uncle Huge.
And the 3 late the night, I thought that he brings kind of the class to the field, in my opinion. And I like him at 5.5 furlongs on the turf. For me, he looks more like a 6 furlong, 5.5 furlong turf sprinter. I think when you get into the 5 furlongs, it's a little bit too short. They've given him some experiences going 2 turns, including that 7.5 furlong turf sprint down at Gulfstream. To me, this is a perfect spot for him.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to contend maybe with the speed of Uncle Huge. I don't know if he's that fast, but looks like he can maybe close a little bit. He was second on the race taken off the turf last time out at Pimlico. The winner there, While Ye May, came back to win at Churchill Downs just a couple of days ago. So that's a positive for Light the Night. I wouldn't say he's a confirmed one-turn sprint kind of closer, but he may have to here today with Uncle Huge in the race.
It's an interesting race. We also have the one Esposito towards the inside for Tom Proctor. Overall, with this type of move, going from dirt to turf with his sprinters, it's a successful move. He's 10 for 40, 25% positive ROI of $2.46. And this horse is by Ghost Zapper. And I expect this horse to probably show speed from the rail.
Someone liked him last time. I think he got a lot of play, if I recall. He might have been favored at one point. When they went to the gate there on May 6th, and finished third after showing early speed, unknown on the grass.
We'll see how that race shakes out, but a very contentious 2 other than Allowance is our featured race as we get to the 10th and final. This is on the Exceller at 5.5 furlongs, maiden $25,000 event. We were talking about Diamond Drive earlier today, and this horse, now first time trained by my sister Lacey, was impressive first time out, I thought, on the turf. That was a sneaky good turf sprint.
Yeah, debut run as a 2-year-old. He was 35-1 and ran like he was 3-1 that day. He was really rocking and rolling and closing, and a good gallop out there for Diamond Drive. Then he tried to stretch out on the main track, unsuccessful in the muddy turn mile. Gave him some time off. Another dull performance on the dirt, but he's back to turf this afternoon for your sister's barn. If he can run anything like he did in his debut on the grass, they may not be able to hold him back in the stretch here. The layoff really does not concern me for Diamond Drive, given his debut run on the grass.
Exactly. He managed to prepare himself enough for a good performance first time out. And that race was sneaky good because it looked like he only really started figuring things out in the late stages. He still looked a bit green coming down the stretch too, so you'd have to imagine first time out, sprinting on the turf. Since then, hopefully he's learned a thing or two. So Diamond Drive, I thought, was one you wanted to use, and also the 10 Turbo Booster for Hugh McMahon. Talking about stats too, from dirt to turf with Hugh's sprinters, he's a big sample size. He's hitting at a constant 20% positive ROI. You make money this way. I didn't think his first race was that awful, especially given the start of the race, and you never really can afford for things to go wrong from the start or really at any time of the race at a 5.5 furlong turf sprint.
Yeah, a little excuse at the start was jostled about. The turf was yielding for his debut, and he finished an okay 4th to City Traveler. Then on the dirt, second time out, ran behind Victory Chimes. He's got a little wind skein of his own going right now. He's won 2 straight, and that kind of relates to Great Captain, the 12 horse you've got in a mix as well, because Victory Chimes came out of that race there. Great Captain came out of when he showed brilliant speed, came back to win and then win again. So there's a common connection between Victory Chimes, Turbo Booster, Great Captain.
And I will say that particular day, we saw horses on the yielding turf course. It had a tendency to favor some of those stalkers and closers, not necessarily the pace setters. So I thought that he was against the track that day. He does draw an outside post position. This horse is going to be fast out of the gate. At least I hope he shows as much speed.
I think
as
he's going to the front. I think he went a little too fast, too soon. The yielding ground caught up with him. So let's hope that the turf stays firm and we don't get that 3 o'clock downpour. There's only a 20% chance.
We're going to do the anti-rain dance.
Right, exactly. Well, Shimmering Aspen's not running today.
She's not running. We got that out of the race yesterday. That was a really cool race. We saw the rainbow come out of the clouds in the last minute over Roddy Jenkins' barn. That's what he said. We knew we'd have a good shot when the rainbow. You know you're going to have a good shot when the rainbow's over your barn. So fun day yesterday, even more fun today. Once again, a reminder, we have two very nice carryovers in the Super High 5 that starts in race 1, and a nice $9,000 carryover in the 20-cent Rainbow 6 in race 5. So thank you for joining us here on Today at the Races, and happy Father's Day to all those dads.
Happy Father's Day.